Hey YouTube, this is Jaden coming at you with another video tonight, and today I'm going to be doing a short, brief video on things, I've been thinking, of other things that I could post on the channel, and one of the things that I get sent messages about, or that I'm asked from friends from my locals or other friends around where I live who play Vanguard, is how can I become a better player? So, I came up with my top 5 reasons of how I think someone can be a better player, and I thought I'd share them with you. Now, these are just these are reasons that I think makes you a better player. It doesn't mean they're the top 5 that are cataloged as the ones that will make you a better player. They're just the ones in my opinion, and what I've done as far as the time I've been in Vanguard. So, you can do with it what you will. But in my opinion, here are my top 5 reasons, or top 5 things that will make you a better Cardfight Vanguard fighter, or player. I don't know, I've always just wanted to say fighter, but anyway. Okay, the number 1 rule is the way it goes at our locals is we do best 2 out of 3 when we play in tournaments play. Now, or even if you just play casually with a friend and you play back and forth for a couple of games, shuffle your deck thoroughly before each game. I don't mean just at the end of the first game you scoop all your cards back up into a stack and you just go, here. Split shuffle it. Give it a good shuffle 7, 8 times. Normally, I take the deck after I get it all together, and I do that shuffle thing like crap. One second, guys. Let me pull out a deck. I should have done this. Okay, you're going to have your starter, right? Keep your starter set out, and then actually do this motion 7 times at least. Sometimes go to the full 10. Just do the whole 7 shuffles, get it shuffled really good, and then do this. I learned this shuffling actually from the Yu-Gi-Oh game when I watched it, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. This is how they all shuffle their decks on there, and I learned how to shuffle like that, and it really helps me. This ensures that your deck gets properly mixed up, and your cards just don't clump together, like all your triggers don't clump together. Like, there have been times where, like, I've fallen fate to this, where I'll draw all my heal triggers into my hand, and I will have, like, 2 or 3 of them together, and then in the end game, I'll just throw them in the drop zone, pick all my cards up, and then just go, 2, 3 times, hand it to my opponent, ready to go to the next game, and then I'll lose that game, and I'll just kind of look through my deck and see where all my triggers were, where my heal triggers were, and they're stacked together. So just every time, shuffle your deck good, and then have your opponent cut it after you've given it a thorough shuffle. This may seem like a very, very stupid thing, but you'll be surprised how much better you'd play if your deck just remains thoroughly shuffled. 2, don't flood the field early. Don't flood the field early. Don't flood the field early. I must say this to one person at my locals a weekend. They'll go first, the first turn of the game. They'll ride a grade 1, and they'll call a unit in the front row and a unit in the back row and then another unit in the back row, and it's like, what was the purpose? You can't even attack. Why call your 10k boosters, your 10k shields to the rear guard to boost one of your rear guards or your vanguard for 4 or 5k? There's just no point in it. Why on the first turn you attack, unless you're playing a deck that is specifically pampered towards this, or tailored towards this? Why would you call your whole hand? It's a very common mistake amongst rookies. Because when I help when I was at a convention here around where I live, I did demos for Vanguard, and I saw a couple of people do this when I was teaching them how to play. That is common amongst rookies, and I see people who've been playing the game long enough that they should have gotten a grasp of it, that you don't flood the field early. So please, if you are looking for one thing that will make you a better player, please do me a favor the next time you play a game with somebody and don't flood the field early. 3. Have some moderate understanding of all the clans. Now, do I mean that you have to know every card in the clan? Do you have to know what they do to a T? Do you need to know pretty much everything there is to know about the clan? No. Just have some moderate understanding. Enough to where, like, okay, if me and you were getting ready to start a game, and this is my starting Vanguard, and we are currently shuffling decks, and then when we both stand up our Vanguard, you see this, it should immediately click in your head, he's playing Ezel. Or he's playing an Ezel deck. Or you should know immediately just by seeing that picture, Gold Paladin. You need to know enough to where when you see that picture, you should be able to have a good idea of what the clan is. Know what each clan's strength's in. Know that OTT specializes in draw power. Know that Paladin decks specialize in creating very powerful columns. Know that the Dragonic Empire decks like Kagero no Urakami specialize in powerful attacks that reoccur and just retire massive amounts of units at once. Know that Dark Irregular and Pale Moon feed off the soul. Have a general understanding of every clan. It will make you a better player. It will make you a more rounded player because you will be able to have at least a little bit of knowledge no matter what clan you come up against. Because if you play the people at your locals, eventually you're going to memorize, he's a Royal Paladin player, he's a Narcomi player, that's a Bermuda player, that's a Grand Blue player, that's a Dimensional Police player, that's a Great Nature player. You're gonna memorize what specific clans people play unless you're someone like me and has, 12 different decks, or actually I think I have 14, going on 16, but my point is, you need to have a general understanding of every clan so that if you play someone you've never met and they flip up their starting Vanguard and they start doing things, that you have at least a basic knowledge of how to counter them. This will make you a better player, and it will actually help you win a lot more games. So I encourage you, if there's a clan that you really just don't know much about, go on the Vanguard Wiki and read a little bit about it and just kind of learn. I'm not saying you have to spend an hour researching. Just spend 10 minutes. Look at a few cards. You'd be amazed what you could learn. Number 4, communicate well with your opponent during gameplay. I've watched people play, and what they'll do is say their Vanguard is attacking their opponent's Vanguard, and they'll just immediately go to their drive trigger checks too early without waiting for their opponent to say guard or no guard, but then the person who declared the attack said that their opponent did this, which at our locals, this sometimes just means no guard, go ahead. But make sure, that if you do this, make sure it's with a buddy that you've played with a lot. Don't do this with someone that you just met, because it leads to, well, I was going to guard. Well, they revealed 2 criticals. It's a little late for that. And then it just causes not a fight, it just causes a disagreement that shouldn't happen. Guys, remember this, card games are for fun. I fall prey to it, other teammates on Team Shadow Strike fall prey to it, and I'm sure you have too. You get caught up in the competition because, unfortunately, I was an athlete, I was a very competitive person in competitive acting and speech, and I'm very competitive in this. I am one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet. But I do have to remind myself, it's just a card game. So, the next time you play, communicate well with your opponent and just make sure that you both understand the steps as you go. Attack. You said no guard. And normally if I'm playing someone that I don't play regularly and they say no guard, I'm just going to say, I'll say, do something to make sure I heard them right. No guard? Or, are you okay? So no guard, you're not guarding? Okay. Or if they put a card down, like one shield and I need one trigger to pass, so I'll go one to pass, So just make sure that you communicate well with your opponent. It will not only help the game just be more it will just help the game be a better experience for both players. Both of you will feel like you're on the same page, and there won't be any misunderstandings. That's just that's a big one. And then number 5, help others with their decks, with their strategies, with learning how to play better, or teaching some person how to play the game. You would be surprised how much you learn just by teaching other people. You know that saying that sometimes you'll hear your teacher say, I don't know if I'm the one teaching them or if they're the one teaching me. Sometimes just by teaching someone something that you think that you know how to do, you yourself become better at what you're trying to teach them. So the next time you're at your locals and you're playing Vanguard and there's someone that might not be as good as you are, or you just play them in a match and you beat them pretty badly, just ask them, would you like me to take a look at your deck? Would you, I know a little bit about that clan. Would you like a few pointers? I mean, be polite, offer your advice. Would you like my advice? Or maybe say something like, I like your deck, but I think there's a couple of things that might benefit you if you change a few things. Would you like me to give you my opinion? I mean, be polite about it. You don't have to turn into, man, your deck sucks. You don't know the first thing about playing Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion. I mean, be nice. I mean, be helpful. That's actually should be the number one tip on how to be a better player at almost anything, is help other players or people be better at what you're trying to teach them to be better at. Because when you teach somebody, you also help yourself. It's called karma, guys. If you're kind to other people, it usually will come back to you. That sounded real cheesy, I know, but it is the truth. So, the next time you're at your locals and you see someone and you play them in a game and they might just make a mistake because they may not understand, maybe give them a pointer. Like, say, maybe instead of calling that 10k shield to the rear guard to boost, maybe you should hold it in your hand for late game when you need a guard to protect yourself from damage. Or maybe instead of calling that 8k to the front to attack, maybe you should call it to the back to boost for an even stronger attack. See, you're giving good criticism, but it's not coming across as you suck. It's coming across as this will make you better. It's a polite way of saying I'm going to help you become a better player while not being a dick. Okay? So the next time you see someone in your locals and they might just be struggling a little bit with their strategy, or maybe their deck isn't built to how it should be, or maybe it's not built consistently well, to whatever their deck's winning image is, maybe just sit down with them for 5 minutes, span their deck out from the 0s and the 1s and the 2s and the 3s, and just try and give them a few pointers and maybe a combo that because it not only creates friendships for the game, which is good, and it promotes good sportsmanship, which is also really good. It's just good for the game. So, just quickly one more time, I'll read these to you here. Number 1, make sure you shuffle your deck thoroughly between games. 2, don't flood the field early. 3, have some moderate understanding of all the clans. 4, communicate well with your opponent. And 5, help others with their decks, strategies, and just with the game in general. So guys, I hope you like these 5 tips. Tell me what you think about them. If you have, tell me what you think about these tips in the comment section below. Tell me if you think any of these are good tips. Tell me if you think they're bad tips. But me personally, I think they're good tips. They're easy to understand, and they don't cost a thing except just basic kindness. So anyway, in the comment section below, tell me what you think about this video. Thumbs it up for me if you agree with these tips, if you think they're good for the game. If you do that for me, I'd greatly appreciate that. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thumbs up the video, and I'll see you guys